Back off, old-timer!
You won't walk away smiling.
You know, I never thought I'd live through something straight out of a bad thriller movie. But here I am, still shaking my head over it. Some phony HOA enforcers showed up at our door, tried to boot us off our land, and one of them even pulled a gun on my 85-year-old grandpa, thinking they could scare us into submission. And their big excuse? An urgent safety mandate to clear the way for a fancy community pool right over the pecan trees that been shading our yard since before this whole suburb popped up. Man, it all blew up so fast. But looking back, the only thing that got tested that day was how quickly those clowns ended up in zip ties, regretting every dumb choice they made. Let me back up and tell you how it all started. Because this wasn't just some random spat, it was years of simmering tension boiling over. And it hit me right in the gut, making me question everything about neighbors, trust, and holding on to what's yours. I'm Alex Harlan, by the way, and this mess unfolded in Willowbrook Heights, down in Texas, where the summers are brutal and folks like to pretend everything's picture perfect with their manicured lawns and identical garages. My grandpa, Tom's the real rock of our family, a Korean War vet who doesn't say much, but sees everything, owns this 1-acre plot smack in the middle of the development, the last holdout with those massive pecan trees that drop nuts every fall like some kind of free harvest. We live there together, me helping him out since his knees aren't what they used to be, and honestly, it's home, you know? The kind of place where you sit on the porch at dusk, listening to cicadas, feeling like the world's far away. But Susan Klein, the HOA queen beesh, this tightly wound woman who's been running the board like her personal fiefdom for a decade, hated those trees with a passion that went way beyond neighborhood standards. She'd call them a liability, saying they could drop branches in a storm, but deep down, I knew it was more personal. Her husband lost a big real estate deal years back when Grandpa refused to sell off a chunk of land, and ever since, she's been nursing this grudge, turning it into a crusade to modernize the community. She wanted our acre for a sparkling new pool complex, something to boost property values and make her look like the savior of Willowbrook Heights, all while lining her pockets with kickbacks from the contractors, or so the rumors went. Grandpa and we just called her that lady with the clipboard, never to her face, but you could feel the eyesore vibe every time she cruised by in her golf cart, jotting notes like she was judge and jury. It kicked off on a muggy Wednesday morning. I stepped out to grab the mail, and there it was, our mailbox pulverized, not like a hit and run, but smashed with intent, the post bent like a pretzel, letters strewn in the dirt, some ripped open like someone was hunting for secrets. I picked up one addressed to Grandpa from the VA, torn straight through, and my stomach twisted mess with a man's mail, especially a vet's. And you're crossing a sacred line, you know? It wasn't just vandalism. It felt like a warning shot, aimed at making us feel exposed, vulnerable. Grandpa was out on the porch, polishing his old field glasses, moving slow but steady, his eyes sharp as ever, spotted the mess in my hands before I said a word, set those glasses down real deliberate, and just stared at the road, jaw clenched like he was calculating moves in a game only he could see. They're pushing boundaries now, I muttered, handing him the torn envelope, and he nodded, that low rumble in his voice coming out calm, but edged with steel. Folks get cocky when they figure no one's pushing back. We didn't panic. Instead, he headed to the shed while I dialed up the postal inspector, got a guy named Ramirez on the line. Sounded all business when I laid out the details, the targeted rip on the VA stuff, Susan's name thrown in as the likely puppet master with her endless gripes about our non-compliant yard. He told me to log everything, snap photos, keep a timeline, said he had a case brewing in our county already, might swing by if it heated up. By the time I hung up, Grandpa was already digging a new hole for a beefier post, twice as thick, mixing concrete like he was fortifying a bunker, his 85 years not slowing him one bit. Stubborn as a mule, that's him. And watching him work, I felt this mix of pride and worry, knowing this was just the opener in what could turn ugly. Then came the drive by a dark blue pickup truck, no plates, just a blank frame where they should have been, crawling past our house slow as molasses, window cracking open, a phone flashing as the driver snapped pics of me. The yard, Grandpa still digging. Nice setup you got there, shame if something happened to it. The guy sneered, no warmth in his grin, just cold calculation, before gunning the engine and peeling off. My skin prickled. This wasn't petty anymore. It was surveillance, a promise of more in Grandpa. He didn't even glance up, just kept shoveling, murmuring. They want a reaction. Alex didn't give him the satisfaction. But inside, I was raging, picturing Susan smirking from her air-conditioned living room, pulling strings because our little slice of independence threatened her control freak empire. From there, it ramped up quick. Those pickups became fixtures, parking down the block with a clear sight line to our driveway, tailing me to the store sometimes, staying back, but obvious, like they were drilling into your skull that privacy was a joke. It grated on me, this constant shadow making everyday stuff feel paranoid. But Grandpa? He turned it into a game, almost, waving from the porch with this exaggerated politeness that must have burned him up. Incity called him, the neighborhood watch rejects, and I'd catch him chuckling under his breath, but I knew it was deeper for him, stirring up old war memories of being watched in the jungle, waiting for the enemy to slip. We amped up our defenses. I grabbed a zoom lens, started snapping their pics, logging times, directions, building a harassment file like Ramirez suggested. Those guys in the trucks, big lugs and knockoff tactical vests with some embroidered badge that screamed fake authority. They were Susan's hired muscle, her so-called standards enforcement team, A made-up board she invented to sound legit, no state registration. Just her way of bullying folks into submission. One night, as we wired up these pro-grade cameras, night vision, motion triggered, the works, one of the trucks pulled right up, window down, the beefy one with the perpetual frowns staring us down like we were bugs. "Hand me the half-inch bolt, Alex," Grandpa said, not missing a beat, ignoring the glare boring into us. "They're eyeballing hard," I whispered, feeling that creepy weight, and he just grunted, "Let him, hiding makes you look weak, and we're anything but." He dropped this quiet story then, about Korea, how watching the enemy taught you their patterns, their lazy moments, and they always got lazy, he said, his eyes glinting with that veteran wisdom that hit me hard, reminding me this wasn't his first rodeo against bullies hiding behind power. We had cameras everywhere now, porch, garage, even one high in a pecan tree overlooking the fence end. That night, reviewing footage over coffee, I felt a shift, like we weren't just victims anymore. We were gathering intel, turning the tables bit by bit. Grandpa suggested looping in our neighbor Earl next door, a retired telecom guy with a roof full of antennas, always tinkering with radios, and he despised Susan after she fined him silly for his unsightly setup. "Tell him the tale." Alex didn't beg for help, "Just lay it out. See what sparks," Grandpa advised, and I did. Over fence chat the next day, spilling about the mailbox, the trucks, the creeping dread. Earl's eyes lit up, been stewing on his own Susan stories, and without prompting, he offered to rig a secure feed for our cameras, maybe even broadcast if things went south. It was Grandpa's chess play, pulling in allies, chipping away at the isolation Susan thrived on, because bullies like her count on folks feeling alone, scared silent. Then came the blackout one Thursday evening. Lights out, screens dead, total dark swallowing the house like a bad omen. I checked the app, no outages reported, neighbors' homes glowing bright, even Susan's with her over-the-top yard spots. Breakers fine, but the sink sputtered, air no water either, and there was Grandpa, lantern in hand, that old kerosene glow flickering on his face, calm as a pond. "They hit the lines at the curb, want us scrambling, maybe force a health scare to claim abandonment," he said, and damn if he wasn't right. It was tactical, dirty, preying on an old man's needs, but he'd prepped lanterns stashed, a big jug of water filled that afternoon, like he'd smelled it coming. My blood boiled. This wasn't games. It was endangerment, pure spite from Susan's obsession with control, her way of saying our independence was a threat to her vision of a uniform, pool-crowned paradise. I stepped outside to call utilities and the sheriff, phone in hand, gravel crunching underfoot, when I caught shadows by the pecan tree, shovel scrapes, muffled grunts. Heart pounding, I flicked my flashlight, catching two of those truck goons mid-dig, a wrapped bundle beside him that screamed set up, fake drugs to plant, pin on us once we fled the dark house. They bolted like cowards when the beam hit, dropping tools, scrambling the fence, but our tree cam caught it all clear as day in infrared, their faces, the bundle, the whole frame job. I rushed in, hands shaky, telling Grandpa, and he just nodded, knew they'd try dirtier. Now we've got him on tape. Sheriff rolled up quick after my call, saw the footage, the hole, the bundle untouched. His face hardened, calling forensics, backup, even noting the truck's vents for towing. Utilities confirmed sabotage, meter yanked, valve sawed in by dawn, power flowed again, but the air hummed with change. We'd turned their trap into our ammo, exposing Susan's crew as criminals, not just pests. The fake notice showed up next morning, slapped on our door like a slap in the face, emergency hazard removal directive, bold print on fancy paper, citing bogus codes about unstable foliage and structural risks, demanding we vacate in 24 hours for remediation. It was laughable, sealed, pixelated, ordnance fake as a $3 bill, signed by Susan and some Inspector Hargrove in her own scrawl, no disguise. Grandpa read it slow, twice, then grinned that wolfish smile. "This here's gold. Alexa forged gov.doc. Impersonation, all felonies wrapped in stupidity." We fired back hard, scanned it to Ramirez, who perked up like a hound on scent, dropped the original at the sheriff's, where they ran Hargrove, and confirmed zilch. Grandpa phoned his AG contact from vet circles, painting the full picture of harassment escalating to crime. It was our pivot from defense to offense, feeding agencies a trail of Susan's arrogance, mail fraud, federal vandalism state. Now this tying her directly to the conspiracy, her thirst for our land blinding her to risks. The clock ticked, but we waited, cameras primed, porch tidy, ready for their move, and they came early. 2 white vans rolling up, standards team, logos slapped on, for guys piling out. The 2 truck thugs, plus 2 more, 1 clipboard-toting weasel I pegged as Hargrove. They strutted up like conquerors, Hargrove puffing, Tom Harlan, by county order, vacate now for abatement. Grandpa rocked slow in his chair, silent, eyes boring holes, and I stepped up. "Ain't happening. And you ain't count-out checked. No Hargrove exists. That's forgery, buddy," a fast track to cuffs. His face flushed, clipboard waving. "This is official. Interfere and face charges." But one thug, the scowly one, hand on his holstered pistol, growling, "Move aside, Pops, or things get real." Grandpa rose deliberate, hands casual behind back, but I knew. His 1952 Smith & Wesson nestled there, loaded since forever, his quiet guardian. "Boy," he drawled, voice like gravel over ice, locking eyes. "Hand off that piece, you're trespassing. No badge. Pull it, and I'll take it as lethal threat. To me and my kin. You won't walk away smiling." Tension snapped tight. The thug drew, not aiming yet, just brandishing like a fool. Back off. Old timer. Hargrove squeaking. Easy now. But Grandpa didn't budge, finger likely on trigger unseen, his warhorn comm radiating danger. Then sirens wailed, closing fast, and Earl's voice boomed from my hidden speaker. Live from Willowbrook. Folks. We've got armed intruders threatening Vet Tom Harlan. In. Neighbors. Cavalry's en route. It was Magic Earl streaming our feed via his rig, narrating with snark. Look at that polo shirt disaster, pointing steel at a hero. Someone's getting schooled today. Doors flew open, folks emerging, phones out, Mr. Lopez from down the block gripping a bat, Mrs. Rivera with a hose like a whip, community awakening, Susan's fear grip shattering. Deputies screeched in, blocking vans, drop it now, and the thug wilted, gun clattering, hands up, his pals following, panic etching their mugs. Grandpa eased, hands empty, pistol hidden, pure bluff. Mastery and Ramirez arrived, badge flashing, tying it to our case. They searched vans, found fake badges, more notices, a hit list of targeted homes. This was systemic, Susan's racket exposed. Then the kicker, a duffel of white powder packets, evidence they planted right there, but our railing cam caught the slip thug stashing it post-arrival. Sergeant watched the tape, sneering, add possession and framing to your rap sheet. Geniuses, you're done. As cuffs clicked, our HOA bookkeeper, Linda timid lady Susan bullied forever approached trembling. Envelope clutched. I've got the real books. Susan siphoned dues for these goons. Vans. Guns over 60 grand on her security slush fund. Neighbors gasped, stories spilling. Fines for flower colors. Threats over holiday lights. Susan's empire crumbling under its own weight. Grandpa whispered. Chess. Alex patience beats brute every time. And I felt it. This swell of justice. But deeper. A bond forged in the fight. The AG rolled in heavy cruisers, suits raiding Susan's darkened house, battering the door after her hide-and-seek fail. They dragged her out, PJ-clad, wild-haired, snarling at us. You Harlans ruined me, as cuffs snapped, her hatred raw. But Grandpa just watched silent, victory in his stance. The crowd stood quiet, relieved, the terror dissolved. In the wash-up, ledgers nailed Susan for embezzlement. Conspiracy, she confessed under pressure, got years for racketeering, her thugs tagged for weapons and setups. The state axed the HOA, covenants void. Dues gone, folks reclaimed yards. Lopez painted his fence wild. Earl's antennas stayed, now teaching radio classes. We gathered on our porch weeks later, neighbors toasting with pie and beer, thanking us for sparking the stand, those pecan trees towering like sentinels. A reminder good folks just need a nudge to fight back. But here's the thing that lingers. Makes me wonder late at night, was Susan always a monster, or did power twist her, that grudge festering into madness? And us, did we push too far, turning neighbors into a mob? Justice felt sweet, but at what cost to the community fabric? What do you think? Was it right to dismantle it all, or should we have compromised? Drop a comment below. Share your take on HOA horrors, or standing your ground. Have you faced something like this? Hit like if it resonated. Subscribe for more real-life tales, and let's chat. Your stories might just inspire the next one.